had a good shot of becoming a champion in the second weight class. It's about 10 years later since he got knocked out by Conor McGregor, and the man's still going strong. Congrats. Thank you for the service. Thank you for the hours of entertainment inside the octagon. The King of Rio, Jose Aldo, officially hanging up the gloves.
I gave it to Zahabi 10-9, but I think Aldo could have got the second. It was a close round, pretty close round. I gave it to Zahabi though.
Following the controversial decision, in a stunning post-fight development, former featherweight king Jose Aldo announced his retirement from MMA and UFC, expressing that he no longer had the desire or physical ability to continue fighting. Building on that, in his retirement statements, he stated, "I just don't have it in my heart anymore. I think this is the last time you're gonna see me. I can't do this no more." In response to the announcement, the MMA world rallied behind the Brazilian legend, offering praise, respect, and gratitude for one of the greatest careers the sport has ever seen. Echoing that statement, Max Holloway took to social media platform X to pay tribute to Jose Aldo, offering his respect and admiration for the Brazilian icon. In his message, Holloway recognized Aldo as a true legend of the sport and one of the greatest to ever step into the octagon. He stated Jose Aldo is a legend, loved to one of the greatest. However, Michael Bisping broke down the fight and emphasized Jose Aldo's missing weight. The fight was bumped from bantamweight to featherweight. Once inside the octagon, Aldo came out like a man possessed. He fired off explosive combinations, pressing the pace with speed and aggression. In contrast, Ayman Zahabi looked hesitant and out of place, constantly circling away and steering clear of exchanges. However, Bisping stated that it does not matter how you start the fight, but rather how you finish.
I'm talking about the King of Rio, Jose Aldo. Of course, he missed weight, okay? The fight was moved from bantamweight to featherweight on Friday morning. He showed up, he looked dangerous in the first round. The hands were fast, they were explosive, he was ripping to the body. It looked like Ayman Zahabi, to start the fight, didn't look like he belonged in there. He was dancing around, he was circling the whole time. Aldo was quick, he was aggressive, he was deadly with the strikes, ripping to the body as well. Beautiful work, but of course it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Continuing his breakdown, Bisping pointed out that the fight wasn't without its share of drama. In the second round, the momentum began to subtly shift. While Ayman Zahabi didn't bring anything flashy to the table, he began to chip away at Aldo with steady forward pressure. He pushed the veteran onto the back foot, landing clean shots and disrupting the rhythm Aldo had established in the opening frame.
And it wasn't without a bit of drama, okay? In the second round, it was nothing flash from Ayman Zahabi, but he was just picking away, chipping away, going forward, pressuring Aldo, landing little shots, just putting him on the back foot. A close round, not the most mind-blowing round, but an effective round that he won.
As the third round unfolded, Bisping highlighted the turning point that surprised many. Despite expectations that Aldo would close the show, it was Zahabi who mounted a comeback. As Aldo began to tire, Zahabi seized the opportunity, pressing forward and landing effective strikes. Aldo, clearly exhausted, struggled to maintain his pace and was eventually outworked by Zahabi, who capitalized on his opponent's fatigue.
And then in round three, it looked like Jose Aldo finished the job, rocks him with a shot, kind of stumbles him back as he's getting back to his feet, he's still on the floor. Jose Aldo runs forward, kicks the face off him like he's scoring a goal in the World Cup, knocks Ayman Zahabi down, but he gets back up and he immediately goes on the attack. And Jose Aldo was absolutely exhausted. There was 3 minutes left on the round. He looks up at the clock and he looked absolutely lost. In the end, he was taken down. He had some ground and pound. He had many elbows driven into his face and he lost a decision. Now, Ayman Zahabi, congratulations. This man is a very skilled fighter.
Moreover, Bisping pointed out that Aldo admitted to the toll the sport had taken on him, openly acknowledging that he simply couldn't continue at the highest level any longer.
But Jose Aldo on the microphone was very honest. He said, listen, I can't do this anymore. It's been a really tough time. It's been a really hard week. I couldn't make weight and the body just can't do it anymore.
In addition, Bisping reflected on the emotional weight of the moment, given the legendary career Jose Aldo has carved out over the years. He noted how many newer fans often reduce Aldo's legacy to the knockout by Conor McGregor, but emphasized that such a snapshot does a disservice to the depth of Aldo's accomplishments. As a dominant champion at 145 pounds and one of the greatest to ever compete in the featherweight division, Aldo's resume speaks for itself. Bisping closed by expressing his gratitude gratitude and respect, acknowledging the countless hours of excitement and dedication Aldo gave to the sport.
And it was really sad to see because Jose Aldo's had a legendary career. Of course, when a lot of new fans think of Jose Aldo, they think of the 13-second knockout that McGregor delivered to him. But this man has been a champion at 145, one of the greatest to do it in that weight division, had a good shot of becoming a champion in the second weight class. It's about 10 years later since he got knocked out by Conor McGregor, and the man's still going strong. Congrats. Thank you for the service. Thank you for the hours of entertainment inside the octagon. The King of Rio, Jose Aldo, officially hanging up the gloves.
Adding his voice to the debate, MMA Guru weighed in on the outcome, stating that while the decision wasn't a robbery, it was close enough that it could have gone in Aldo's favor. He acknowledged the competitiveness of the bout, noting that the final result hinged on narrow margins, particularly in the later rounds.
Just joining the bathroom. What was your take? I don't think it was a robbery, but, you know, it could have gone Aldo's way. I gave it to Zahabi 10-9, but I think Aldo could have got the second. It was a close round, pretty close round. I gave it to Zahabi, though.
In addition, Guru also addressed Aldo's performance and his post-fight admission, stating that he didn't view Aldo's decision to step away as a bad one. Given the physical toll and visible exhaustion in the later rounds, he felt it was a sensible and honest call from a fighter who has already achieved greatness.
Versus Jose Aldo, pain, sadness. Aldo throws it away, man. And I don't think this was a bad decision. Round 2 could have gone to Aldo, but it also could have gone to Amian Zahabi, don't lie. Don't lie to yourself, Aldo fans. I know. And I thought he got robbed against Mario Batista. I did, and I don't like that they've given him these 3 matchups when we could have seen an Aldo versus Dominic Cruz, when we could have seen an Aldo versus a Cejudo. Not especially after just really badly hurting someone to then just go to nothing. It was sad to watch, but no retirement package for Aldo. Horrible that he got no retirement package. You know, I know people were saying, but they didn't know it was his retirement fight. You're putting him in these 50-50s against these up-and-comers that he should be better than. But you can assume that he might lose. Prepare a retirement package for him on the chance that he does lose. You did one for Molly McCann, Anthony Smith, and Aldo doesn't get one. I don't care if he didn't explicitly say that this was his last one, win or lose. You know he'll keep going if he wins, and you know he'll be done if he loses.
However, Ariel Helwani offered a contrasting perspective, noting that Aldo's last few appearances have all felt unusual from the scoring point. He noted that the fight carried no real stakes, making it hard to gauge where Aldo truly stands in the division. Rather than facing rising contenders with promotional momentum, Aldo had been matched with solid, gritty opponents, but none that the UFC appeared to be actively pushing. Helwani suggested that while Aldo may be finished with MMA, the door to fighting in general may still be open.
And there needs to be some sort of discussion as to like how the last chapter in his UFC career was handled. These 3 fights were just bizarre. The scoring in the last fight was weird. The scoring in this fight was weird. There were no stakes attached to any of these fights. He wasn't. It's one thing to fight like up and comers, you know, guys who you can clearly tell that they've got a lot of stock in. That he wasn't even fighting those guys.
Right.
Like, he wasn't fighting guys that they were pushing. He was just fighting tough, somewhat unheralded guys. Very, very weird. So I feel like he's done with MMA, but not done with fighting.
Despite the result, Helwani believed Aldo had done enough to secure the win. There was a sense of quiet disappointment in his demeanor, and Helwani admitted he genuinely felt for the former champion.
But in the end, I thought he won that fight, to be honest.
Yeah.
And
Same here.
I feel for him. I love Zahabi. Love that he, represents Montreal. He was the best story on this card as far as Montreal's. But I thought upon watching it live, I thought Aldo won that fight 2-1. What a third round though, by the way.
It was very poetic. If it ends up being it was like. So it was almost like he was holding on to this ounce of Aldo magic, and he emptied the full reserves in that moment because he sprints forward, he's doing all this stuff.
Meanwhile, Renato Moicano didn't hold back his frustration following the decision, openly expressing his belief that Jose Aldo had been robbed, not just in this fight, but in his previous bout as well. Moicano called the outcome unbelievable, suggesting that Aldo had done enough to earn the win.
Meu amigo, os juízes do UFC Canadá destruíram o legado de uma lenda do esporte. Moicano, por que você tá falando isso? Olha essa foto, meu brother. Essa é uma foto que a gente gostaria de lembrar o José Aldo, campeão do povo, meu brother. Não teve a chance de ter uma aposentadoria de respeito. Tudo por culpa dos juízes e também da carreira dele. Eu vou te falar o seguinte, uma das piores decisões que eu já vi em todos os esportes de combate, especialmente no MMA, foi o José Aldo ter voltado a lutar no UFC depois que ele tinha se aposentado da primeira vez. Ele tinha se aposentado, tinha parado, falou que não ia lutar mais, depois voltou para lutar com Jonathan Martinez.
Despite the controversy, voicing his disappointment with what he saw as a pattern of unfair judging against the veteran. He posted on X stating, "Maybe one of the worst decisions of the sport, MMA, was Aldo getting back to the UFC after he retired. Unbelievable the last two fights. Robbery." Building on that, Moicano continued to show his support for Jose Aldo following the controversial decision, taking to social media to praise the former champion. He called Aldo an absolute legend, commending him for a remarkable career and wishing him well in retirement. He stated, "Absolutely legend. You had a great career. Enjoy your retirement, legend." Furthermore, Robert Whittaker weighed in with his take on the fight, acknowledging that Jose Aldo had a strong opening round where he looked sharp and dangerous. However, Whittaker scored the bout in favor of Ayman Zahabi, noting that Zahabi turned the momentum in the second round with forward pressure and effective striking. As for the third, Whittaker described it as chaos.
I thought Ayman won. I thought
Okay.
Ayman won.
All
I
right.
thought, like Aldo had a really good first round.
Definitely.
Okay. Ayman brought it back in the second. Okay. Now that third round was wild. That's where
So good.
everything gets thrown out. Everything kind of just went to crazy town. So Aldo almost kills Zahabi.
The kick to the head, man. I thought he died.
twice, dude, twice. Twice. Okay. I don't know how Ayman survived
Yeah.
at all. Got just grit, determination, heart.
Yeah.
In his breakdown of the third round, Robert Whittaker emphasized just how drained Jose Aldo looked in the final stretch. He described Aldo as being completely exhausted, likening his state to that of a corpse, barely able to keep up as Zahabi poured on the pressure. Whittaker highlighted the stark contrast between Aldo's explosive start and his fatigued finish, underscoring how the tide fully turned as Zahabi capitalized on the fading legend.
Aldo practically dies. Like, I'm sure he was practically a corpse on his
Yeah.
back at one point when like at the end of that fight.
Mm.
Aldo had nothing. He had all energy reserves were going to breathing. Like, it is crazy how gassed he was from that chase to win.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that looked so bad. I thought they were going to stop the fight.
In addition, Robert reflected on the broader picture of Jose Aldo's career, expressing amazement that the former champion was still competing at this stage. He pointed out that Aldo had already faced and beaten nearly the entire roster of his division over the years, cementing his place as one of the all-time greats. Whittaker suggested that Aldo's decision to walk away likely stems from the sheer length of his journey in the sport, years of going to war, taking damage, and enduring the grind.
Aldo's been fighting forever.
Yeah, he has.
Like, and it's not just he's been fighting forever. He's been taking hard fight. He's fought everybody. He's fought the who's who.
Yeah.
He's changed weight divisions multiple times.
Yeah.
Like, at some point, you just get sick of it, dude. Like, you get sick of, not only do you get sick of the camps, because the camps are hard, but you get sick of getting hit. You get sick of going to war. It's like, a lot of people don't get it. Like, you can get hit. Anyone can get hit. But it's choosing to get hit.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's choosing to get hit, and then afterwards choosing to get hit again.
However, Whittaker acknowledged the harsh realities of a fighter's journey, emphasizing just how grueling the path can be. He paid full respect to Jose Aldo's career and achievements, calling them nothing short of outstanding. Whittaker praised Aldo not only for his longevity, but for the excellence he consistently brought to the sport, highlighting that few have done it at such a high level for so long.
It is so hard. And
Yeah.
all the respect in the world to him for the career that he's had and the things that he's achieved and done. Like, that was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, man.
You know?
Like, there's no shame. Legacy cemented. He's a Hall of Famer. Like,
Already.
yeah, it's.
Yeah.
Easy. So
Meanwhile, UFC executive Dave Shaw shared his thoughts on the dramatic shift in momentum during the fight, admitting uncertainty about whether Jose Aldo simply ran out of gas or was caught by something significant. He referenced the flurry that included a kick followed by a crunching shot from Zahabi as a possible turning point. Shaw said he was confused by how quickly Aldo went from being on full offense to purely defensive, noting that the former champion clearly faded in the final stretch and couldn't maintain his pace.
Yeah, and I don't know whether I was confused or he just sort of ran out of gas, but that flurry that had the kick followed by Eamon's sort of crunch on the close side, at least on Dana's side of the octagon. I was confused at what point did he either run out of gas or did he get smoked? Because he kind of went from being on full offense to now on defense, and then clearly ran out of steam at the end of the fight.
In addition, Shaw spoke with deep admiration for Jose Aldo, calling him the undisputed king of Rio and one of the most important athletes the sport has ever seen. He acknowledged Aldo's legendary career, pointing out that even in recent fights, the Brazilian icon had shown flashes of brilliance, looking sharp and fully capable of competing at a high level. Shaw noted that Aldo came to fight and impressed many, especially in the early rounds of his latest bout. Ultimately, Shaw emphasized that this is a personal decision for Aldo to make for himself and his family, but regardless of the path he chooses, his legacy in MMA is already cemented as one of the sport's most significant and enduring.
What's my reaction? I mean, he's King of Rio. He's one of the most important athletes we've had in our sport. He, despite like an illustrious career, has had these fights where he's absolutely looked like he's got it. Like he came to fight. First couple rounds, we were all so impressed. This is a decision that he's got to make for himself, for his family. But no matter what he decides, he's leaving a really important legacy in not only Brazil, but the world of MMA. Long live WEC.
Adding further reverence to Aldo's legacy, Daniel Cormier offered high praise for Jose Aldo, reflecting on his legacy with deep respect. He stated that when he thinks of Aldo, he sees one of the greatest fighters of all time, an athlete who excelled across multiple weight classes and played a key role in advancing the sport. Cormier highlighted how Aldo's rise to championship status felt completely natural and well-deserved, a testament to both his talent and the impact he made during his storied career.
When I think of Aldo, I will think about one of the greatest fighters of all time, a guy that was so good at multiple weight classes and truly did move the sport forward. And when Jose Aldo got to the UFC and they made him the first featherweight champion of the world, it just felt right. If there was ever a person that deserved to just get a belt when he got here, it was Jose Aldo. And he went on to defend that championship so many times. But from the weight miss this week to the fight where he got so fatigued, he said he just does not have it in him anymore.
Moreover, Cormier acknowledged that Jose Aldo had previously stepped away from the sport, but this time, the atmosphere felt different. He remarked that this retirement carried a sense of finality, as if this truly marked the last time fans would hear Aldo's name announced inside the octagon. For Cormier, the moment signaled the end of an era, closing the chapter on one of MMA's most iconic careers.
Aldo's retired before, but this one felt different. It felt like that was the last time we would hear, run this town and see the great Jose Aldo walk to the octagon.
In addition, Cormier praised the bout between Ayman Zahabi and Jose Aldo as one of the most entertaining fights he's witnessed in recent memory. He highlighted the dramatic turn in the third round, where Zahabi, despite being badly hurt, managed to rally with remarkable resilience. Cormier was particularly impressed by how Zahabi not only survived Aldo's onslaught, but came back to overwhelm the veteran in the final moments, bruising, battering, and ultimately doing enough to secure a gritty, hard-fought victory.
Ayman Zahabi and Jose Aldo fought one of the funnest fights I have ever seen in my entire life. Ayman Zahabi was hurt so bad in round 3. And the fact that he got up, not only survived getting hurt by Jose Aldo, but completely battered and bruised him down the stretch to take the victory, was super impressive.
Moreover, Cormier added a poignant note about Ayman Zahabi's rise, pointing out the unique challenge of carving out an identity when you share the spotlight with a well-known sibling, in Zahabi's case, his brother Firas Zahabi. Cormier noted that fighters in such positions often get overlooked or forgotten. But after Zahabi's stunning performance against a legend like Jose Aldo, Cormier believes that will no longer be the case. He emphasized that what Zahabi did to a great like Aldo has firmly etched his name into the minds of fans and the MMA world alike.
You know, so many people, when you come into a game like Zahabi, with a brother like Faraz, you get left and you get forgotten. No one's going to forget Ayman Zahabi anymore after what he did tonight against the great Jose Aldo, who retired in the octagon.
However, James Lynch pushed back against the notion that Jose Aldo was robbed, offering a more measured take on the outcome. He acknowledged that the fight was close, with both men having their moments, but didn't see the decision as controversial. In his view, it was a tightly contested bout that could have gone either way, and Zahabi edging it on the scorecards wasn't unjustified.
And I know I'm gonna get some flack for saying this, guys, but Ayman Zahabi getting the win over Jose Aldo. Now look, I know a lot of people are calling robbery and all this. I said it on my post-fight show. This fight wasn't a robbery. It was a very close fight. I mean, it was. The last round was crazy. Like, you think Aldo's getting the TKO win. Zahabi survives, then ends up on top of Aldo most of the round. Like, a lot of stuff happened in that fight. But Zahabi ends up getting it done. And, you know, the reality is that with this win, him beating Jose Aldo, he's going to get a good opponent next in this division. I don't know what that looks like, but there's a lot of options at 135 for him now.
Building on that, Ayman Zahabi shared his elation following his biggest career win, saying he felt like $1 million after the fight. He expressed full confidence in his performance, particularly how he closed the show with a dominant final round. Zahabi also revealed a motivational moment with George St. Pierre, who told him Aldo missing weight would improve the story. According to Zahabi, GSP reminded him that not only was he stepping in against a legend, but he was also the smaller man, having to move up in weight, getting rocked by Aldo and still managing to rally back. GSP told him would make for an even more incredible narrative.
Yeah, it was an incredible feeling. I felt like $1 million after the fight. I felt really good. I felt like we won it. You know, I finished the fight super strong. And GSP told me that actually when he missed weight by 8 pounds, the first thing George told me about it was, this is going to be so good for the story. This is going to be incredible for the story. You know, not only are you fighting a legend in the sport, you're fighting him and you weighed 8 pounds less than him. You had to move up in weight for him. And then getting rocked in the fight adds to the story, adds to the adversity. I overcame it all. So I feel incredible right now. Yeah, I did no wrestling for this camp. I expected us to brawl in the center. I think his last fight really made him upset, and I love to strike. You know, and Merab Davishvili is, you know, the best wrestler in the bantamweight division. He couldn't even take him down, you know what I mean? So I didn't want to waste my time shooting on him. I wanted to strike. I wanted to outdo him on the feet. You know, I didn't outdo him as much as I wanted to. I thought it would go better in the feet. I thought I'd get the hang of it much more, but because of the weight miss, what was playing in the back of my head was that I dehydrated myself 8 pounds more than he did. You know, he's a legend. I just told him backstage he's going to be remembered forever. You know, and I'm hoping that I gave him a great fight at the end. That was an emotional roller coaster for everybody. And it's a fight that it's a good one to retire on in the sense that, you know, we gave people a war. So I didn't think he was going to retire. And I'll be honest with you, you know, most MMA guys, they like to stick around a little longer than they should. But I can never say anything bad about Aldo. He's a great guy, and I absolutely love him. And no one should ever forget how good of a fighter he is. And he gave me the fight of my life tonight. And I think he helped propel me. You know, it's almost like I could be the king of Montreal now after that performance.
As the dust settles on what appears to be Jose Aldo's final walk to the octagon, the MMA world finds itself both reflective and divided. Whether fans saw a legend wrongfully denied victory or simply witnessed the natural end of a storied run, one truth remains uncontested. Jose Aldo's impact on the sport is indelible. If you felt the weight of Aldo's farewell like we did, drop a comment below with your favorite moment from his legendary career. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more fight breakdowns and legacy deep dives, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a moment in combat sports history.